And we are live with episode 115 of the Start Build Grow Show, I believe. Let's hope so. Let's
Let's
see
see
what
if
we
we're
think.
on. Yep, it
We
looks like
are.
we are on. You did
This
it.
time we are live again with episode 115 of the Start Build Grow Show. We are going live at our brand new time at 4 p.m. Mountain Time. For over 2 years now, we've been going live at 6 p.m. Mountain Time. We're going to switch it up a little bit and see what everybody thinks of that. But this is usually where I bring in my co-host from Mr. Randy Brothers with Elite Roofing and Roofing Academy. But of course, as soon as the show started, he's getting his house, the exterior of his house painted, and he had to go for a quick overview. So we're going to get the show started without him, and hopefully, no time at all, he'll be back joining us. But we have two great guests from Boss Up Solutions. We have Lateef and Ashley bringing in. Oh, and there's Mr. Brothers. Mr.
There he
Brothers, what's
is.
going on, man? We were just read the intro. Once again, we had some technical issues on the Be Live side of things. So you brought in the perfect time. Randy Brothers, what's going on, my friend? Oh, and he's muted.
He's,
You got
he's probably
on.
still unmuted. He's probably still unmuted, so we got to give him a few minutes.
I'm here.
No
I'm
worries.
back.
There you
What up?
are.
He made it.
Gotta love
How do you feel about people
technology.
showing up? How do you people feel about people showing up at the wrong time for their appointments for exterior work?
Well, the thing is, we've been getting a project that my whole house, we've been getting it painted, and he's just now finishing. And it's been like 6 or 7 days they've been here. So he just wanted to do the final walkthrough. So I don't want to make him wait. I wanted to go ahead and let him do his thing and get out of here. So we're good.
Absolutely.
International
Absolutely.
edition. Glad to have you back on there. Lateef's been a while, man. How you been?
Good, man. Great. Always a pleasure to be on with you guys, and I love being on the new time. We'll get the first for the new time. So
What do you
I
Yep.
don't
think
know
of
what
the
that
4
counts for, but
p.m. the 4 p.m. Mountain Time? What do you think of that time slot? You like that better than the 6 p.m.?
I think it depends on the audience. I mean, you're gonna look at some numbers and you're gonna find out. But
Mm-hmm.
the truth is, yeah, it's probably not bad. I think like people when they get home, they just get rested. So I think it's a good deal. And you guys have an amazing following, and I feel like they're gonna tune in if you go on at 7 a.m. So
Mm-hmm.
I think you'll be all right. And
100%.
now we get to see who the real guys are.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well,
See
we
where
were
the
talking.
true
We were
loyal
talking.
listeners are.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. We were talking in the first take of this. We thought we were live at one point, but looks like we weren't. And I was just asking you, Lateef and Ashley. Obviously 2020 has been a crazy year and whatnot, but what have you guys been up to? What's going on at Boston Solutions?
So it's been pretty crazy. Like we had a couple, like nobody knew what to expect from this thing. There's no no reference we could go in the past and be like, oh, that one time when it happened. This is like all uncharted waters. And we went out there and I was like, are we going to lose customers? Are we going to make customers? What's going to happen here? So there was a little like lull there, but you started
Mm-hmm.
noticing that people sent home a lot of the workers, and Peggy in the office could no longer, like, she didn't know how to install a software, get on Zoom or whatever, something we've been doing for years. We've been virtual for the whole time. So in essence, it actually became in our case, and we're very fortunate for this, it became it became a selling point. The fact that we know how to be remote, we've been trained. This is not new to us. This is not our first Zoom meeting or whatever it might be. So that helped a lot. And you saw a lot of people also recognize, like, I think you got to take positive from everything, right? So the situation happened, but like, I think people are recognizing, like, where's the fat? Where do we cut it? So, and I know it sounds horrible with the situation going on, but the truth is, like, as a business owner, efficiency is key. That's how you create profit. That's how you create longevity. So we've been watching that pretty much, and it's been pretty cool. It's been high pressure though. I kind of plan on bringing in so many people, and it like double, triple. So it's been a little bit more work. We actually put a moratorium on bringing in customers, and we just opened it back up just a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, we were. I think the transition was fairly seamless. When you're proactive about really just industry trends, right? So
Yep.
the industry has already been trending before COVID, 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago. Virtual meetings, working from home, more and more, virtual sales, a lot of those
Yep.
different things, and paperless, right? Going paperless as a company. When you have all these software programs out there that allow you to go paperless, you can just plug and play, half a dozen softwares within your business and essentially run everything virtual through that. We used to have 2, 3, 4 like kind of brick and mortar offices in different places and went all down to one, and we're able to
Yep.
work a wide variety of areas from one location. And then COVID hit. We were forced to say, you know what, let's close the doors. Let's let everybody go home. We spent like half a day just packing up their offices and going home. And now almost half of our staff have either moved or, you know, they work remotely, if not part of the time, all the time. So we've actually we've actually kind
Right.
of downsized our office and increased our efficiency, kind of by default. But you know, I think there's obviously it's a trying time, but there's opportunity. There's opportunity to
I
improve
think
this.
it
I know
created
you
a
guys are on the
difference.
forefront of that as well.
It created a big difference in the fact of like, you know, hours versus your tasks, right? Like, what are my responsibilities? So when you're at home, I'm not really wondering if, are you going to go check on the pot? Are you going to go check on Susie in the backyard or let your dog out? I'm not really worried about that. I'm worried about like what needed to be done today. Is it done? And I think for those that are disciplined, it's actually a great thing. And some people aren't. Some people need to have someone sitting over them. And I have both varieties here. We have in office and out. But I think like, you know, the fact that you're more accountable for what's expected of you, not so much just standing there for a few hours. I mean, what is it? They say that in a typical an hour, there's about 22 minutes of actual work or something like that. Like no one actually works the full 60.
Yeah.
So change that.
Well, for every email, every phone call, every text message, every time, you know, you get distracted by your phone, even if it's just looking at one text, it takes you 15 minutes to refocus on what you're doing.
Oh yeah, we're setting up our other office, and we were talking about like space. And I read an article, and I don't know the numbers, so I'm not right exactly, but it said every time you're distracted, so whether it be a phone ringing, an email, something flashing up, etc., that the refocus time is almost like 15 minutes or something like that. So you literally lose focus. So you're like in this like mode of like, hey, I'm going to build this automation, or I'm going to write this process, or write this email even. And suddenly it gets lost. And unfortunately, there's no control on this thing. There is control; it's self-control, but there's no other
Right.
control. You know, you have to consciously say, "I'm putting this thing down," you know, and turn it off and flip it over and put it under a rug or something. Yeah.
So how do you guys
And
think that roofing companies are working remotely now? Do you think they're being pretty efficient overall as a whole,
I mean,
or what do you guys think?
Ashley here, who works with us, and she recently became a manager. She's been working with roofing companies for 3 years. You've been with me roughly. She's worked. Like, what have you been seeing from some of the contractors? What are they working on, and what?
We're pretty much closing out files now because it's kind of slow. So it's just like working on warranties. There's been like old jobs that like no warranties have been like submitted, or maybe the budget is not completely finished for like each job. So we're kind of closing those out and just kind of collecting money, like just calling to get depreciation and any supplements. Yeah, just following up with insurance companies and homeowners to get that.
A lot more AR and that stuff. And we had this thing in the South that's kind of like going to take, you know, before that ever becomes live, it's a few weeks before that even, you know, becomes something that's worth looking at. But activity comes in spurts. And that's the beauty of where we're at. Like this entire staff is here and they're able to, you know, adapt to that kind of curve where if you have a spike, hey, we're here. If you have a lull, we're here. So that's been kind of cool. But I think people have gotten more efficient. They're actually going and cleaning their closets out. They're like literally like, hey, we have this AR. And then the cool thing for me, because they do the work and I do the consultative side, cool thing for me has been like literally sitting down and getting them to do process. I had a 4-hour meeting with the sales team of 6 yesterday for a company in Illinois from here. And honestly, we went over nothing but this: how to get to a house, not how to talk to the homeowner, that's sales. How to capture the proper photos. Like, what is the proper photos and why are we doing it? And then we have a form that we fill out related to those photos. So it was just the physical inspection process. But it's so interesting how people, like, you know, one guy, when he was out there, he's like, I use company cam, but we don't have a lot of cell phone signal in some areas. So I'm stuck taking pictures and I load them up one by one. Well, we turned our phone into airplane mode and we replicated it. And we're like, actually, you can take your photos offline. But the problem is sometimes these guys just don't try, right? And then owners, and Randy, you could probably relate to this. Like sometimes we know how to do something, but we haven't done a great job of letting them know how to do it. We might know like the solution, but it's so interesting how like little details get missed when you slow down and actually repeat it. But it was 4 hours and it was very efficient. And since then, I've seen a lot of photo reports and they're perfect. They're all, you know, front to right, coming back around. They know the details I'm looking for. They're focused. There's no light glares. They get that these photos will make them money. And again, that training, that running drills, practicing, shooting free throws before the game, you know, like learning to do it. And we're, I don't know if basketball is a good thing to talk about lately, but
Hey, go Nuggets. Go
Yeah,
Nuggets.
game
They
7,
won
man.
game 7 last night.
Pulled
Let's
it
go.
but
off,
no,
man.
I mean, Randy, do you guys run drills?
One.
Like, do you guys, like, with your staff, do drills on, I don't know, different processes that you guys do within your company?
So I don't know about from a drill perspective, but we are always training, cross training, working on things. You know, sometimes it's in a group setting, but majority of the time it's in a one-on-one like coaching session where, you know, one of the manager of the department is going to work with an individual on this, that, and the other. But when it comes to ongoing stuff, yeah, we have group trainings every single time we have a group meeting, like a team meeting. So when our team comes together every 2 weeks, our staff meetings, you know, we have these virtual, you know, meetings and virtual trainings that the whole team will watch, and then we'll discuss it afterwards. So we're always looking for ways to train and practice and get better, honing our skills and honing our craft. Sales team is more of it's interesting because most of our sales team are so tenured. They've been here for a long
Yep.
time. So it's not like a practice to learn it. They know what they're doing. Really, it's more of a one-on-one, like fine tuning our skill sets
Right.
and
The
coaching ourselves
details.
to make that micro adjustment to get that much better and that much more efficient. And on that note, we've had to really, you talked about some of the changes and stuff that we're seeing and that contractors having to do. I think you touched on something earlier about, you know, contractors being forced during COVID and being staying at home, working virtually, that sort of thing, having to really focus on the little elements of their business that were kind of slacking before. And one of the big
Yeah.
areas where contractors, you know, face challenges is in the timeline, you know, what we call the cash conversion cycle, which is the time when you start incurring costs or incurring expenses on a project to the time that you actually recognize the profit on a job.
Right.
That timeline can be, I've seen crazy timelines. I've seen it average 3 to 4 months for contractors to actually close a job out, complete the cycle, and recognize their profit. So I think COVID and this time at home is forcing contractors to look at that. And especially if they're like, man, my sales are down, or if you're in a market where you don't have a lot of hail, i.e. our market, contractors are like, man, I can't just let this slip anymore. I can't just let my AR go. I have to focus on processes to do that, which is interesting because that's been a huge focus. To answer your question, Nick, for me and the contractors I'm working with, I focus a lot on that. On the technical term is DSO, days sales outstanding, the accounting term, but you know, more commonly referred to as the cash conversion cycle. And I focus a lot on that within my own business. And we've seen drastic changes over the last few years where we're in a non-storm year, COVID year, but we're way more efficient on completing that cycle. In turn, our cash position is better right now than it's ever been as a business in a
Very
year
well.
when we're down. So that's how important focusing on the timeline of closing and collecting your jobs is. You can do less volume and make more money and have more cash available to invest in your business if you focus your energy and dissect every little component of your business. Everybody has to do with this cash conversion, from the sale
Exactly.
to the production to the supplement to the to collection to the billing cycle. All those things you can dissect on a micro level and drastically improve and make
Right.
cash flow within your business.
And
10
that's
times.
that customer journey, right? That customer journey that you want to control. And that's kind of what the topic that we were trying to get to here. The customer journey that we want to control and help with is look at each phase, like take it, you know, like one bite at a time. So you say, okay, we have some lead that came in from some source, scheduled pre-inspection to inspection. So there's one section, right? Just getting to that inspection. What should happen there? What should improve? How can we make it more efficient? Like, do we, you know, sales guys, their time's valuable. Like, somebody should be calling and saying, hey, we're on the way. And then saying in a way that we don't lose an appointment. We also want to make sure that they're not going out there and one of us, you know, forgot, you know, like you're in the middle of your show and this guy shows up for the exterior. Now he's standing outside waiting for you. You know, he loses an opportunity perhaps, or you're not there. Right. So making sure of that. So you look at every problem. The funny thing is the problems we have, they're very common. They're not unique. There is a unique one here and there. That's where, you know, the high dollar guy comes in. That's where we call Randy and say, hey, Randy, how do I fix this? But, you know, hey, my appointment was a no-show. Really? That happens to everybody. What can we do to prevent it? What can we do from our side? You know? So kind of looking at that. Once the inspection's done, it's going to end up in a couple buckets. It's going to end up as sold, which is great. So now we got to start that customer experience. It's going to end up as no go, don't bother, right? So maybe a drip market campaign or something like that. And then you got the tire kicker. Like, I'm going to think about it. I got to talk to my brother. I got to talk to my dad. I got to talk to someone, right? So each one of those then strings off into the next process. And then you want to like look at those processes from the next goal for us. The first goal is getting to meet them and seeing it. The next goal now is I saw it and I want a signature. And I'm speaking about insurance claims, but this applies to retail. I want a signature. That signature might be my contingency. I'm not a huge fan of handshakes, and I think owners like are spoiling like this. Like, I was an owner and I did a ton of handshakes. I'm sure Randy did too. But when you're an employee and you don't have that same, for lack of a better term, sixth sense of understanding who's buying and who's not, get a signature, because I promise you, you went home all happy, but it wasn't happening. Like, you need to do your job and get a signature, right? Contingency agreement. Once you get your signature, like, what's involved with that? You know, and right now, like, I mean, I think you guys over there, Randy, you guys use Sumo Quote, right? The training on Sumo Quote, how it goes over, what content should be in there. Like, just sitting down, if you improve that little, you know, template one time and just spent a day on it, it's going to get you the next year of service. But people, like, they kind of just add things as they go and they take things away, and they don't take that extra day on a tool they're going to use daily because we're busy. Well, COVID's made us less busy. Take time, fix it. This thing will prove super value and change time for you in the future, right? That inspection report, how you do it, take time, fix it. Once you get your sale, then we get into the approval process, as I call it. Like, basically, I want to take that customer journey, just like Uber, you know, before it's crazy, but you know, it's all around us. If we look, I order an Uber, it tells me there's 5 drivers around me. It tells me who's on the way. It tells me they're arriving. And then it tells me you're on your trip. And then if the trip's delayed, it asks me if I'm okay. When I leave, it asks me, how did we do, right? There's a process they've mapped out, a journey for the customer. And that ensures customer satisfaction. And the number one thing about customer satisfaction is reviews. The number two thing, which we probably would consider number one, is our time to collect on that job. The time from when we start incurring cost to the time that we recover cost. That we want to reduce. And where it gets lost is this. An adjuster says, you're on the phone with an adjuster. I'm sure this happened to many guys at home. They say, hey, we come to some agreement. I need a revised proposal. We'll send your check out. Okay, great. They hang up the phone. Somebody else is calling. Randy Brothers is on. Nobody wants to miss that. We're on that. And, you know, 2 days go by, and then all of a sudden it's like, you know, where's my money? And then you realize you never set that revised proposal. So you lost this 2 days gap of time frame, right? And perhaps that guy who was the adjuster, or that gal, she went on vacation for the weekend. So now you're another week delayed. Our job is to do everything we can from our side to set ourselves up for success. We can't control the adjuster, but I can control how quickly I follow up with that, right? So we want to be as efficient as we can, whether we do it ourselves, whether we hire a boss-up assistant, whether we hire somebody in the Philippines, I don't care what you do, but the thing is to have a process. When this happens, and an open task list. I want to see that that's open and closed. Until it's closed, it still exists. Like, it's not a, hey, Randy, this lady called about picking up your trailer, and then I'm done with my job. I need to call Randy back because Randy's busy. And I need to say, hey, Randy, remember that trailer? Did you handle that? No. Okay. And then I need to maybe call Bree and say, hey, Bree, you know, I've been calling Randy about this trailer. Could you maybe help me out? You know, I need to understand my boss too and start making it efficient, get that done, because my job is to get that checked off. But this all comes down to that customer journey, taking it from A to Z efficiently. So you make more profit, higher customer satisfaction, less customer complaints, you know, increase time to cash in, you know, from the day I started to the time I cash in. And that makes things efficient. Efficient means profit. And people got to look at that. Funny thing is, it's not that complicated.
Is profit, right? And it's not that complicated, but once you start adding in human nature and the distractions and the million things that we have to do on a day-to-day basis to run our own business, the customer journey is ultimately the one that slacks the most, that gets
Yeah.
affected the most. It kind of, we have a customer, we'll get them done, whatever. We don't go above and beyond to make that customer experience something extraordinary. And by not and being in a habit or being a company that's not focused on that, and not that doesn't have the capacity to create that extraordinary customer journey, we're constantly having to reinvent the wheel to generate new customers.
Yeah. And then you're
So think of the
fixing
residual effect of
problems.
that.
Okay.
From a marketing standpoint, right? So we every year it's like we have to restart our company.
Yep.
Hire new salespeople,
Yeah.
hire new
Reboot.
canvassers, go out and try to figure this out and try to capitalize on whatever storm it is, because
Turn
all
that
we're
down.
trying to do is get in, get out, and move on. If
Yep.
we were to change our mindset and say, if I only have one customer, I want to make sure that customer's experience is better with my company than it could have even possibly
Okay.
been with
You
anyone else.
nailed it.
And then that customer is going to tell their friends. And I'm going to be able to grow my business organically through customer experience
You
and through
nailed it.
taking care of the customers I have, instead of always having to chase new customers, right?
So Randy, one of the things that I noticed, and it took me a while to put my own finger on this, and I think you'll understand and tell me if you agree. I think when we're small, when we're starting, right? Nick's my only customer. So I'm going to call Nick. Hey, how are you doing today? Hey, that adjuster's coming out. Hey, this is what happened. I'm updating him. I'm like, he's my lunch ticket. I'm talking to him, right? And I give him that excellent customer service. And now what happens is Nick refers Randy. Randy refers Bree. Bree refers so-and-so, right? And I'm all of a sudden now my capacity has gone up. I'm successful right now. I'm succeeding, right? But now what happens is I can't make up that time that I had. So suddenly certain things that I used to do, that the reason Nick referred me, I'm no longer doing that. I'm not doing that extra. I don't walk by the yard and walk it through with you like I used to do, and I don't go out there and give you that extra phone call I did, because unfortunately I haven't, I just don't have the bandwidth. And then what happens is I tell everybody your success ultimately will lead to your failure if you don't start building under yourself. You got to start putting in stuff that you're not going to do anymore. I need to get Ashley here to follow up with the customer because I am not, and do you think that's like what you see happen with some businesses where they kind of, and then I think it's a little, we kind of catch up, we patch it to something and then we fix it. And then we go, like, there's a big, it's not a straight up and down, but it definitely bounces up and down.
Mm-hmm. Completely agree. And that's what I want to dive into. But I do want to say a quick thank you to our sponsors, Randy. So if you want to take that over, but also at the same time, that after we're done with the sponsorship, we'll dive into that customer journey, right? How do you set it up where that customer that when you were a small company that had such a great experience with you, how can you scale that and have a great customer experience as you grow, right? So Randy, you want to start out with 60/60 appraisal?
Yeah, first off, a lot of us do insurance work, and the battle between the insurance carrier and the roofing contractor is just it's never ending. It's getting more and more challenging, and there's more and more situations where you just come to an impasse, right? You're a contractor and you feel that this job should be paid a certain way. The insurance adjuster, the insurance company says, nope, I'm not going to pay that, and here's why. And you just come to an impasse. And what do? We either just suck it up and take a low profit job and move on to the next one, or those of us who really are passionate about making sure we're doing things the right way, we can invoke appraisal. So that's happening more and more and more. I know within my business, we're doing more appraisals than we've ever done in the past. It's just kind of where the market, where the industry's going. A lot of more and more of my clients are doing appraisals. So it's been awesome to be able to connect with, a company that specializes in appraisals all over the country, 60/60 Appraisal Group. And Mike and his team, they specialize in appraisals, being a third party appraiser, and they do a great, fair job. And then that's the thing about appraisal. It's a third party. They're not on one side or the other. They're going to come in there and give you a fair assessment and go from there. So if you do get to that impasse, I would highly recommend looking into appraisals and or learning about appraisals. And for those of you who are already a member of my program, I got Mike and his team coming on tomorrow. We're doing a whole training session on appraisals, like how to use it, what appraisals are all about. And that's one of the things that we do within the academy is every week we're going to have a special private training session, and we're focusing on appraisals this week. So if you do want to get more information on appraisals, check out Mike and his team at 6060group.com.
Yes,
And I can
sir.
tell you, we've sent over people to 6060, and he's a former customer, and we work together. But that guy is great, and like just from third person, I'm telling you, like everyone we send over, we're very pleased, and we see great results.
Awesome. And then, of course, there's Job Nimbus, who's been a proud sponsor of ours from pretty much the very beginning, right? And Randy built out, Elite Roofing using Job Nimbus. I mean, the amount of growth that he was able to obtain over those short, 2 or 3 years, Randy, he was able to expand using Job Nimbus was unbelievable. Lateef, what do you think about Job Nimbus?
Man, you know what? Everyone's got their little thing out there in the world right now. What's CRM? And I get it, but it's a tool you use, but it happens to be the tool with the most flexibility, the open API. We leverage the crap out of it. We love it. Is there a wish list of improvements? Always. That's with everything. I don't care what you do. But right now, I've tried the other guys. And Ashley, I'll tell you, she's in all of them. She's in AccuLink. She's in, what other ones are you in? I don't even know.
Job Progress, AccuLinks, like Pipedrive,
and it's the one that serves us the best, man. I gotta say, it's got the most. It checks off the most spots, So we'll love them.
Absolutely. And of course, we have Boss Up Solutions. Lateef and Ashley, thank you guys so much for joining us today. I know for you guys, a big thing is optimize, automate, delegate, right?
All that looks in there working.
Boom, right? And the virtual assistant right here, right? Unbelievable. Now, what I want you guys to do now is kind of showcase some of that stuff as we break down this customer journey, right? How you guys can kind of help out with that customer journey. Like we were saying before, Randy was able to give such a great experience when he was a smaller company. Also, he's scaling. Now he needs to delegate stuff and make sure he's providing that same special experience for each one of his customers. So when that lead, let's start at that lead standpoint. When that lead comes in, what does that look like? And then we'll kind of go through that journey.
So, I mean, when a lead comes in, I mean, I could tell you since I've always designed it, but I'll ask her, like, when a lead comes in, what's supposed to happen? A lead hits Job Nimbus or whatever CRM. So we have a process that we start there. We start speaking to the customers.
Well, as soon as the lead comes in, just kind of like follow up with the homeowner, try to schedule them, get all the qualifiers, add them to the calendar, make sure the sales rep is notified that he has an appointment at such and such time or date, and then kind of just keep on following up, after the inspection, just like, hey, so is it going to be a retail? Is it a storm sale? Or did he want to move on with your estimate? Should I give him a call personally to see if he wants to move forward? And kind of just keep on following up with the homeowner and the sales rep to get that job updated.
So what we do is, like, after that lead schedule, we definitely want to, like, notify them we're on the way, confirm with them. Also, for the salesman's perspective, qualify them. Like, guys, look, sometimes someone calls in and it sounds great, but then you call them back and they're like, oh, I just need my doghouse re-roofed. And it's like, we don't do that. I'm not going to drive and spend an hour to get to you. I mean, we work with some guys over there in Colorado, and I mean, one of the guys goes up to Wyoming, and that's a bit of a stint, and you really don't want to go up there unless it's bad. And then also coordinate those schedules and bring them together. But as from the customer's perspective, it's like, hey, getting this guy to focus, having him prepared. I saw Ryan on in the chat there, and I'll tell you that we prepare the SUMA quote for most people, not everyone, but most people. We prepare the SUMA quote before they get out there, fill in the fluffers, get them ready so they can be adequately prepared for this job. Another big one is, I had one the other day where they took a bunch of pictures, great photo file, et cetera, and I look at it and it's a wind claim, but it's nothing but hail pictures. And I'm like, guys, I get that there's hail, but you're not helping me here because it's a wind claim. This is like not set up right. So actually notifying the salesman while he's going out there and just saying, hey guys, you're going out there for wind claim. I just want you to remember, wind claim. We're looking for zip free. We're not looking for hail, So that's kind of the part of the journey we do in that part, and that's kind of the first phase of the customer journey is that, hey, that welcoming. And then another big reason to get the company involved, Ashley or whomever involved right away. And I think, Randy, you with your experience and everyone watching that's been in the roofing industry will tell you, is like, salesmen come and go sometimes. The ownership should not be with the salesman. The ownership should be with Elite Roofing. It should be with Boss Roofing or whatever it is, right? But too often we don't take it. And you see these posts up there like, my sales guy left and he took 4 jobs. What should I do? He has an NDA. And dude, just avoid the problem. Take ownership of your job. Have someone call and say, hey, I'm Ashley. I'm at the office. I'm going to help you're with your job through its progress. He's going to help you in the field. I'm going to help you from the desk. Create value in Elite. Don't create value in Bob the roofer. You know what I mean? So that's very important. So there's subtle reasons why just in that little phase, that contact is so important.
100%.
I always, teach with my all across the board is the sale starts the second the phone rings.
Yep.
Right, or the second you come into contact with that customer, so you want to be focused on how do I differentiate myself and provide a simple yet professional experience all the way across the board. If
Mhm.
you're out on a windy roof and you're answering your phone, Jim Bob's Roofing, oh, hold on, let me get off the ladder, let me get off. How professional do you sound?
Yep.
Oh yeah. Let me look. I think I can be there next week. I'll be there on Monday before noon. Is that all right? Okay, cool. Right? It's just not professional, and it's what a lot of us do because we don't know anything else, or we don't have the capacity to just sit in the office or just hire someone and train someone at a high level to all day long sit in an office. And there's that you got to kind of bridge that gap. So
Yep.
providing that you're doing your best to try to solve that problem is how do I help from the second that phone rings to the time we sell and time we close the job out. How do we help guide and facilitate a great customer experience across the board? And
Mhm.
and that's definitely the what you guys
Absolutely.
focus
And
on.
for all of you, whether you use us for anything, it's actually not hard. What you do is you write down your perfect job, like how it went. Then you start adding those little points of like, okay, this problem happened here, this part happened there. And then you start doing your whys of like, why did it happen, right? Analyze like what was going on, what was the reasoning. And then you start coming up with solutions. Most problems can be averted, right? Like you can literally not have to experience a problem if you're intelligent enough. Like, oh, we deliver the materials and the lady's car was in the driveway and she's very upset. Okay, well, and she overreacted. She's going off on me. She's calling the neighbors. That's all great. Where did it start? It started with me. What could I have done to prevent that? Well, I guess I could have told her we're delivering and I could have asked her to make sure her car's out of the driveway. All right, how do I do that? I hire someone to do it. I create an automation using, I know what job numbers you can create some triggers and stuff. And actually, if you're intelligent enough with it using Zapier, you can create it where it could send a text out to somebody saying, tomorrow your job's being scheduled and here's some tips, right? But once I've done that, I'm not going to get that overreaction when my car's stuck in the driveway. I'm going to be like, damn, you told me and it's my fault, right? Ownership.
Mhm.
But look at those problems, analyze them, and then see how you can avoid them. Problems are great, to be honest. They're great. Like Boston Solutions, like for us, it's collaboration. We're not so smart. What we do is we look at, 20 different contractors. We look at what one guy's doing right, one guy's doing wrong, and we kind of like bring them together. And we kind of go, hey, let's learn. This guy's great on pre-leads. This guy's great on pre-sale. This guy does this. And we take that information and we kind of start keep adding and adding and adding. And we've actually built like a crazy flow chart. I'm a flow chart guy. So I got this crazy flow
Mhm.
chart that I keep adding to and keep improving and keep looking at problems. Like, okay, what happened today? Like that wind claim that I told you. Why did the salesman not know it was wind? Well, because no one told him. Hey, maybe if we just started telling people right away, would that problem happen? Well, no, because then they would know it's a wind claim. So
Mhm.
simple solution. I mean, it's like 2 extra seconds, and honestly, in automation, it's not even that. It's done. But it's just like we never thought of it because we never really focused on what happened. We're too busy just fixing it instead of looking
Yep.
at instead of preventing it. I always say the firefighter gets the glamour, because there's a firefighter and he's going out there as a hero. Nobody appreciates the fire inspector, the guy that keeps the fire from happening, right? And
Mhm.
when you're running a business, you want the fire inspectors. You don't want the firefighters. It's good that you could go there and get, Karen to understand you, but you rather just not have her misunderstand you at the beginning, right?
100%.
That's kind of what we go there. So that's that first phase. And then, you go from that inspection to a sale. If that's, the next phase, Nick, tell me, that's how we look at it there.
Yep.
And we
Completely
want to
agree.
go from there. And in that phase, like inspection to sale, again, it's the follow up with the customer. Is there anything else we can provide? Is there anything else we can do? And then, you fast forward into there in the collections, like what's our policy for the collections? How do we collect for insurance? What's a sequence of events?
Well, I guess what I try to do is do the initial call with like the insurance company, get all the contact information from the adjuster and the manager to have it like just registered on job Nimbus, and then so I do the initial call, just kind of get that information, give them like some time so they can review either if it's the estimate or the invoice, and then after that, just emailing them and calling them. I do a lot of emails just because I like to have things in writing. So whenever they say, oh, it's because I told the last rep I talked to that I wasn't going to approve line item number 5. And he never said that in that like conversation. So when I just go back to the emails and have everything in writing, I can just forward it back to him and be like, this is what we spoke about. This is a small recap of what we approved and what we removed. And kind of just go from there, following up to emails and calls, and just like every 3 days, every 2 days. I think it's good enough. Yeah.
We do a 3-2-2-3 process. Call them 3 days, call them 2 days. But the other part that you mentioned is obviously, like, whatever you get done, one of my things is like when you get done with the phone, look, you said one thing, I heard one thing. And this is true for all of us that are busy. You said one thing, I heard one thing. Send me a quick little recap. Send me a recap, because I'll be like, oh, I didn't say I'm approving that. I said, fine, correct yourself. But you need that documentation. And I think the insurance companies, I don't know if it's intentional. I mean, we all have our view on it, but I feel like it's part of that delay game, right? Just saying, like, they count on us being disorganized, you know, because they know it's happening. And this way you have that documented thing. And it's interesting, you know, people communicate differently. Like for me, text is the way to get a hold of me. If you call me, I probably won't answer, you know? And for other people, it's like, you know, they need it in email. So you don't know how that adjuster is. You can't just say he likes emails. You just have to kind of do your gamut and focus in, and then tune in on how he's communicating. If he's pressing phone, press phone. If he's pressing email, press email, you know?
100%. And so, okay, so that's it. You know, you've taken this now from lead to sale, right? Now, what about in terms of communication while the project's actually going on and they completed?
Oh, the production. That's a fun one. That this is where you're going to get intimate with the customer, and this is the part that's very crucial that you maintain. So we do a and it's for everybody at home. This is very simple. This is not like rocket science. You got to like use us. This is something you can do. What's our pre-install date process, right? What are we going to do? We're going to let them know, get the car out of the driveway, move any delicates. Is there anything in your driveway or in your yard you want me to take extra care of? That rose bush that you're going to get mad about tomorrow, right? Photos, very important. Review your photos and say, hey guys, there's a pool there. We're going to need a tarp. Hey, there's a lot of equipment on the deck. We want to move it. Figure out, inspect your site, right? And photos make it so easy to inspect today. Like, it's not like before we had to go walk it. Like, I could just tell you what's going on from here in Mexico. I could tell you what you need to do to make it a successful job, right? And then there's a day of, and this is where when you arrive, getting the crew to verify everything's received. Do you have 6 lead pipe jacks? Do you have, you know, whatever amount of ridge vent, however many linear feet? Do you have this stuff? Because I don't want to be running at 6 p.m. like you're going to ask me to go try to find it, and I can't find it. I go to Home Depot and I grab that extra bundle and it doesn't match my die lot. So now I'm screwed because I got to wait till tomorrow, or I got to just try to get away with it, which isn't the right way. So that pre-installation, then it's during the installation, a little call during the day, giving them a contact number. Who can you contact in case there's a problem? Why? People like to voice their anger, and it's so easy nowadays. Like when you get out of a car, part of the bad part of the customer journey is, how do you rate this driver? How do you rate this Uber Eats? How do you rate your airfare? So people are ready to rate you right away. I'd rather give them a place to rate me that I control. I want them to tell me, because you know what? Sometimes things go wrong on that job. Let me know. I'm your point of contact. I'll listen to you. I'll lend an ear. I'm here. And then they're calling John who sold the job, and John's not answering. They're getting pissed off, right? Instead of just calling somebody who's actually at a desk that can say, what's going on? Oh, there's a wrong shingles. I'm so sorry. I'm going to get on this right now and get you an answer, right? Being available and present. It doesn't have to be John. They just need someone. So that's where they come in. And then once the installation's done, that walkthrough, and then also making sure the guys photo document the post-dry or pre-dry and post-dry in, you know, that roof. We want to know what it looked like. And then also at the end of that job, like, what does the post cleanup look like? And then having the homeowner, if they're available, to do a walkthrough where we just say, hey, here's some things to look for. Here's some precautions. I mean, nails and tires, we hear about it every single day, like letting them know that, hey, look, it's going to be a little bit. It's nice to hose things off. We've done our best. Did you know there's thousands of nails that come out? But just letting them know before, and if it should happen, just call us. Don't go on Google and say I'm a bad roofer because I got nails in your driveway. You know, letting us know. So it's preventative. Like you're being intelligent by knowing the problems that typically happen and handling them beforehand, right? And then this makes such a big difference, because that post-installation checklist, if you can get it signed, is essentially your punch list. Like I used to do build outs. It's your punch list. You've signed off, so I can send that as saying work complete, right? And if something pops up, it's like, no problem. I understand you didn't notice that day. I'll go ahead and take care of it. The process still continues. It doesn't get stopped. We just let them know that, yeah, we have somebody doing, additional work or warranty work or whatever. We'll get someone out there. But again, if you pay attention to them, man, people are interesting. If you pay attention to them, it's so funny. And I think in the roofing industry, we know this, like the guys that we keep talking to, they'll be patient with you forever. The minute you stop answering their call, things blow up. So it's having someone available, man. Honestly, the simplest thing to that journey is being present, being available, obviously trying to do it right, but being present is very important. Even if you're doing it wrong, being present will save you sometimes. Then
you got to make sure you end it with a review and referral, right?
Yep, you got to work for that review and referral at different stages. You got to work with the neighbors at different stages. Like actually pulling up the phone list for the neighbors and contact them, saying, "Hey, we're in the neighborhood. Should you notice any debris or anything, just here's a number, contact us. We don't want any problems. Things happen, but we're here." And they're like, "Wow, you're a good company. You're taking care of it." You get that part of the process.
The number one challenge and the number one cause for poor reviews and bad service from contractors is communication. Every challenge, every troubled customer, everything that escalates and becomes an issue can all be solved and or rooted to some sort of breakdown in communication along the lines.
Right.
They were not explained this. They were not told this. They tried to get a hold of you and didn't answer. Like one way or another, you can almost always, pinpoint some sort of communication error that leads to issues with contractors. And the biggest complaint. And here's the thing. As I suck at communication, I'm not the best communicator. I'm not naturally a great communicator. I have to work at trying to be good at communication, and I make sure to implement processes and hire people and bring the right people on board to help me in the areas that I'm inefficient at. Okay, I may be good at project management and good at like selling a deal or a good idea guy, good visionary, good strategist. But when it comes to just consistent, mundane, rinse and repeat communication, just that gene skipped me for some reason, so I have to make sure to bring people and connect with people and hire people to be really good in that area, because that's what customers want and that's what they need.
Yeah, no, and you guys have done a great job at leading. And like and we worked together on some time when we helped you guys on. And the thing with your company is you've established a lot of roles and process, which is great. Actually, Ashley here too. Like we studied in your university, and this is a collaboration part. We study from guys like you, and we learn, and we share that with who we work with. But you've put in different personnel in place, right? And you've been fortunate enough and blessed enough to be able to put those X number of people in your office and do it. Not everyone's there yet, and and maybe some people don't even want to get there. I mean, the headaches that go of employment. There's other reasons you might not want that. But the thing is, when you create efficiencies, you don't need as many people. You don't need as much, much of a group. There's a reason there's like a, that SEAL team that goes in. It's not the full, Navy. It's an elite group that just knows what the hell they're doing, and they get in there. I use elite, and you get in there, and but they're tuned in how to help each other and how to make a successful mission. This is the same thing. Process efficiency, knowing what the target is, knowing what the potential variables are, and controlling them. And that's the key to everything in business and the journey. And it's all around us. I tell everybody, look at like the way the pizza got delivered. Look at your last flight. Take American Airlines, take Spirit, take a look at your Uber ride, your Uber Eats, your other things like that. And you're going to get yourself more efficient. And you can learn, somebody called me about Safe Flight Auto Repair. And I guess they send you I know now, but they send you the picture of, this is the guy coming out. Here's a little bit about him, and he'll be out there, because, people would be kind of weird. Like, who's this guy with these tattoos showing up at my house or whatever. Right. So you take that and you go like, hey, what if we did that with my roofing inspector? And the truth is, it's possible. It's very easy to do, but you have to look at it and be like, wow, I learned something from something else, and I'm not stubborn enough to not give it value. I'm going to learn from it and maybe learn how to integrate it. And if I don't know it, pay someone to do it for me.
Well, cool, guys. Well, and so as we kind of bring this thing to a close, we always end it with the golden nugget, right? Where it's something that you want to tell all the viewers out there that they can implement in their business. And I always start it with our guy, Randy Brothers, out there. So Randy, for the 115th time, what you got, my friend?
115. I got to try to come up with something unique. I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to do that. There's a lot. You know, and I'll even just elaborate a little bit is on some of the things we touched on earlier. You know, I want to challenge. I'm going to challenge the entrepreneurs and the roofing contractors out there to change your mindset from a from just scrape and hunt to protecting what I have. And what I mean by that is the customers that you have, find ways to improve and treat them in a way that you're gonna blow their expectations away. If you can effectively come up with a process, a customer journey that just completely blows people away, you are going to be able to take that and leverage that to scale your business organically and reduce the amount of effort you have to put to generate business, because your business is going to be generating a growth on its own organically. So find ways to go above and beyond and kind of blow the expectations out of the water within your customer journey.
I love
Absolutely.
it. Lateef, what we got?
If I'm going to tell you something, it's this, because this is a very simple line that I heard somewhere. It's not mine, but simplicity is complex. Complexity is simple. I think sometimes when we sit down, we map out our business, these guys get in and they want to make these 87 steps, right? Like, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. You got to use this software, and then you're going to go over here and you're going to do this and you're going to do that, because we've been so sold on these different tools and stuff on there. And that's great. Draw it out on board, see what the end goal, like what are you trying to accomplish, and find the shortest path and start cutting out the fat. Simplify it. It becomes much easier. Simplify for your salesman. Guys, this is what you do. Simplify for your office. Hey, when you get a call, this is what you do. Simplify for your production. Hey guys, pre-production, post-production, this is what you do. Simplify. Don't overcomplicate. And I think that's a big problem with us, because in our minds, like, we should do this and we should do that. And then somebody tells us, did you think about this? And it's like, ooh, Lateef talked about this picture. We should do that in there too. Guys, there's a lot of stuff out there, but don't complicate it. Simplicity will lead to success. And truly, simplicity is very complex to figure out. You want to figure out that.
Well said. Well said. Well, Lateef, Ashley, thank you so much for joining us. Everybody,
Absolutely.
Thanks for tuning in to episode 115 of the Start Build Grow Show. We'll be back next Wednesday at our new time, 4 p.m. Mountain Time.
Take care,
Perfect,
everybody.
guys.
God bless.
Thanks. Pleasure's being on the show, guys. Take care. Bye.